In this week's episode of The Enthusiast, few publications will be releasing their most anticipated fifth part of the Ibis Mystery and heaps more in this week's episode of The Enthusiast. This week, few publications will be releasing The Phantom, issue number 1938, Crippled Jack, and the most anticipated new Phantom story of 2023. It is, without further ado, it is the fifth part of the Ibis Mystery. And since we're halfway through season 3, I hope for every single part of this story, it is as good as the first 4 parts. And now I think it's a recommendation that you probably get all 4 parts out to start with, and then you go to the 5th one, because it's going to be awesome, it's going to be amazing, and I hope this is going to be one of those stories where you can look back at it and you can say, God, that was a good Phantom story, God, that was a good sequel from Andrew Considine and Raphael Dantas. And coming up on this week's show, Regal Publishers' new Phantom comic book awesomeness, and our big, I promised you last week, it is coming right big, thick and fast, the big new featured interview, Trevor Clark, Phantom fan and Lego model builder extraordinaire. Trevor Clark discusses his new Phantom projects in Lego and so much more in this week's episode of The Enthusiast. And we also have the new news segment, The Saga of the 21st Phantom, Escape from Gravelines Prison, the Bandar Warriors have arrived. Such a great week for the Phantom as always, and in this week's publisher news, Regal Publishers will be releasing their Phantom number 29 from their comic book series, and that will be coming out on February the 17th, 2023. Another big thing that's going to be happening on the 17th of February is the Phantom will also be celebrating his 87th anniversary this year. And to celebrate the anniversary, I will be doing something very, very special this week to celebrate the character's anniversary, and that will be coming to you live on the YouTube channel on Friday, hopefully. And another thing that will be coming very, very soon after the 3rd season of The Enthusiast is a brand new interview. Yes, we're going to be having a couple of interviews coming out. I'm not going to be telling who they are, who I've interviewed, because it is now, you can now watch my show, The Enthusiast, on Anchor and Spotify. The Enthusiast, with a passion for the Phantom, doesn't waver. New interviews are published weekly on Tuesdays, and I will also be putting a link to the podcast in the description down below. And now, get yourselves ready, because it is time for the biggest interview, the biggest featured interview I have done in this week. This week, Trevor Clark discusses his new Phantom projects in Lego and so much more, and they'll be playing right Today here. We are joined by Trevor Clark. There's not much Trevor doesn't know in the world of the Phantom, and his recent Phantom projects with making Phantom-related things out of Lego. And we go into question number 1, which is, with your Lego projects, Trevor, that you make, why do you make things out of Lego, and how long does it take you to construct the Lego pieces?
My partner's passion, and I went along for the ride. And on the way, was looking for an idea to do something, and it's always easiest to do something that you're passionate about. And obviously, I'm passionate about the Phantom, and I've been in for 20-odd years or so, 30-odd years, a bit more. And so it was easy to choose to do something about seeing a Phantom. The first project that I did was the large mosaic, which is based on the Dick Frizzell, Mr. Walker split screen. It was just the classic was in the point image, and I did that It's fairly large, about 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters. It's here to Lego. It's 948 by 48 face plates, which is basically 10,000 studs, which you tear. And again, that was relatively easy to do. You've got an image at 12 centimeter. Very fun with that was a friend of mine had a good pixelation program which made it easy to turn into Lego. So you work a photo into it, it turns it into the pixels that are seated for Lego. And then I chose not to go down the line of using graduated colours and use the comic book like sections of colours, which was easy to do. After I had success with that, I was pretty happy, and I did one another year or so ago and tried to make that a skull head used there. And there was a commercial Lego product at Bath Mall. One out is in black. All my buses are just turned into purple. But there had been quite unhappy relief, or the head was not for it, right? And I returned to that at some point to get the tuning and if I better, because some friends of mine who are better Lego creators than me have done much better sculptures, so I've returned to that. And my most recent one was just at a big event in Melbourne, the Beacon. The World Exhibition building is down there 70th meters. I did my version of stand internship. I didn't feel like classic Siberian building of the island, or not of the island, of the subject. And I did little motifs on that, including the sculpture. And
I thought that one was really, really cool because, like, I see the pictures of the things that you make and they look very awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I know a lot of people that didn't get who the phan was in it or get what it was.
Yeah.
But the people who knew what it was went, cool, that's the Skull Code, and that's Misty Mountains, and that's the Whispering Woods. So I figured I ticked off the boxes. I've got a couple more modules to do on that just to make out of your elements that Sire initially drew. So that'll be a project for a year or two. And I've got another project up my sleeve for the next year, I hope, before I get into it. How long they take? The mosaic probably took 4 years, but that's how it was on sort of this slack and didn't get off my backside. Once I got around to doing it, the hardest thing is actually gathering up enough clicks.
Yeah.
Because any project just sucks so many really pieces of plastic. And I happen to choose particularly hard to get colours. The blue that I chose and the olive green I chose are not common, so I took a bit of hunting them on, and a friend of mine, Dustin, to replicate it and make another one for him, and I'm struggling to get some of the parts, but I'm also struggling because I get diverted by squirrels and other things and the more comfortable ones like it's been. So how long did they take? In the end, I had the idea for these band country for again a year and a half. And my partner picked me up with bum and said, we're exhibiting in January, we better start building. And I started at the end of October. So I figured I'd be a fair bit to knock that one out in that period of time. And again, bit fun. I'm not the greatest builder in the world, but I give it a go, and I'm pretty happy with some of the things I've turned out. And some people may not see
I've seen
Brandon. It's not quite do that. I got him made up by a guy, Saturn's custom built, and happy there. And in my little spell.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I think works pretty well. It's simple. It's not, no. But then you can add quite things to it. I haven't got a train that works for me yet.
Yeah.
And tend to put a train on. Or I think it works pretty well. So, it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
And of course, if it's in Hero,
Go Hero.
And I'm sad that he's a husky that doesn't quite work, but
Yeah.
oh well, is a wolf to me.
Oh well. In your eyes, he's a wolf.
Great.
In question number 2, it is in question number 2. What are you wanting to build next from Lego?
Next I will be Lego, or sorry, in the community of AFOLs, adult fans of Lego, if you don't know the acronym, there's a system of building called and then it habitats. And the habitat is a small build about, again, Lego is terminology, but 16 by 16 base boat, so it's small.
Yeah.
And the idea is you stack them or have them set out, and each little diorama tells a story. My intention is to do the idea of going to the rooms in Stolpate.
Oh yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
On the front, one will be the radio word, one will be the the bits with the clip. One will be the surgery room, major and nana.
The big one that
On this until that, there's someone else that picked my idea and melded it.
Thank you for telling me a bit more about what are some of the builds that you're wanting to build from Lego. And in question number 3, as the saying goes, a creator never tells his secrets on his projects, but could you give our audience a basic understanding of how to make your Phantom bus and projects?
Well, yeah. Adding to what I said about the mosaic, it was simple. There are programs out there that define that turn a photo into a mosaic, and from that it's just a choice of making it. And as I think I said the photos to you, a friend of mine called Gary Gaza, who you've probably come across, he did a big bust as well, but he also did a mosaic issue, and it's a classic side Barry approach. So it's just a matter of turning the photo into a layer and buying the blitz.
Yeah.
For the other builds I've won, it's having the idea, going online, seeing how other people do things, pitching their ideas, and then turning and then chill on. That's what, and all artists do that. I'm not planning to be in more than just using my. People say, anything is hard. We just got to put one bit on top of another bit. Not everything has instructions.
Yeah, you just got to use
them, and it doesn't work. Like after doing 400 bricks, and you go, "That's not working." We take it apart and we do it again.
Yeah.
Doing that, I didn't send any photos, but the first idea of use, though, a few people were sending it on my posts. Again, I wasn't particularly happy with it. Well, the first trials, it was horrible, and it didn't work at all. So I had to pull it all apart and start again, and that's all you really do. It's just there's no real secrets. The hardest thing is actually getting enough bleed bricks of the right colour.
Yeah.
Because they're not. You don't get many in each little box of Lego needs a feast, and they're telling you what, you might get one or two, especially the standard 2x4 brick. Everybody goes, oh, that's the standard brick. But surprisingly enough, not a lot of the material in Star Wars sets or Harry Potter or all of the above. And so you've actually got to track it down, track other people who've adopt them.
Yeah.
Go on the Lego site, said Boyden. So there's too much. What material of the building and is just do it. Put one, have an idea with a passion about that, and make it work for yourself. Because at the end of the day, two bricks joined together can, as a 5-year-old or a 2-year-old will tell you, that's a plane. No, it's a train. No. And I know I sound a bit silly, but it's full.
Yeah. I think it's more having the commitment to keep on doing the project and keep on making something that you're proud of and that you're passionate about. So I think that that's really, really, really great. I think that is good.
Thank you. I've had a lot of fun doing it. As I say, here's the thing about anything you're doing. If you're enjoying it and wanting to do it, I built it for me. I wanted to see it like that. As I say, I returned to my skull because I'm not happy with their very London bus still I do. Their mosaic is mine forever, and I'll keep it up.
Yeah.
And their little skull, the fan country, I'm lucky enough I'll keep that together for a while, and that'll become my touring exhibit for a year or so with tea, and then I'll put it in a box and bring it over again in 5 years' time. Adding it.
Yeah.
The most everything.
Put it in the good old treasure trove of major treasure rooms that Trevor Clark has.
Correct. As you can see behind it.
Yeah.
And that is the truth of thought.
I've been looking at some of the things that you've got in the background of where you are right now, and they look pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I'm very envious of lots of the other collectors or friends who has the ability to have their stuff out. I'm majorly disorganized, and so stuff sort of dust piles up. I figured that the black one there will pique a lot of people's interests. And by the way, it's not for sale.
Yeah, because it's very. I always hear this thing where sometimes you're looking on one of the Phantom Facebook groups, and then someone might say, "Oh, does someone have a black Phantom bust?" And then you'll be saying, "Oh, well, I do, but it's not for sale."
I'm lucky to have. Well, that one's someone else found it online, and I managed to pick it up and buy it further and have a process and never understand the average and they, in all fairness, so with the ones that spotted it online, I guess having about Melbourne, the hotel they go for them. And I'm lucky to have one of my own. I haven't got a black one midstream and or a data Saturday, and still tracing some information on those, because I think the one defining is also one will further fault for this people.
Yeah. You always, sometimes you see photos of someone asking about it, and then you think of it, does a person already have that, or does a person already have that? And then you think, oh yeah, Trevor does.
I don't have everything. There's some of the guys had star and that wall on the it did a little bit like that, but again, I just turn away then stand up to the wall, or I'd pick up from India the other day some of the shop things and and the this animal thing here.
Regal publisher comic.
The Regals. And some of them are lovely. The filtering on the door paper is there, I guess.
I've got a couple of issues from the Shakti Comics series and a couple of ones from the Regal ones. I haven't really read those because sometimes you don't have enough time to read them.
Well, and you don't, because they're reprinting they're reprinting old stories.
Yeah.
It's just nice to see them done in colour.
Yeah.
Well,
nice to see them.
I subscribe to the Comic Kingdom, so you get the digitally downloads of or the last, what's it like tuning out? The first strips about 2005, 18 and something.
Yeah.
So, I've got
around that way.
20 years worth of digital downloads, plus for it. But it's nice to see them printed nice in colour.
Yeah.
The total get washed through it as a dirt, it's natural. It's like, okay, yeah. We pick up the Shakti and the price is, 200 lupins.
Yeah.
and I sold for $3.50. Now, by the time I got in Pleasant, and
Yeah, that shipping would cost too much.
getting him off just swapping with me for stuff anyway.
In question number 4, everyone's going to get a laugh out of this. Everyone, and Trevor already has had a laugh out of this. I'm sure Anthony Gill will also be a laugh out of this. In question number 4, could you tell us a bit more about Phantom School and what Phantom School is and what first inspired you to do these?
Well, you might change that quickly. The Phantom School was something that Anthony Gill has just said as a joke on his post. When he goes and has a coffee with somebody and they talk stuff, Phantom, romance comics,
Yeah.
early TV, all the stuff that Anthony does, he the comic street. And happened I happened to meet when I was in Canberra. I got to have a coffee with him over a couple of hours, and he took the photo and said, "It's Phantom School." And it's not really a school because he can notice that well, there's stuff for it now, and everyone else that stuff for them doesn't have it, and it fails to get all. It's lovely to have a chat route, and it's easy to spend half an hour. It's not sued for a standing student when I should have been at the Canberra Lego show.
It's like, oh, wait, I'm spending time with a mate and yet I'm supposed to be somewhere else. Sorta.
Well, that's my story of my life is, well, look, I should be able to doing this, so while I'm doing this, I'll be doing that, and this is life's good. And in a lucky position to be a way he used to spend quite a bit of money in that 30, and it's still growing, and if I did a bit more organised, I might have said just sing most of it instead of having boxings or keep letting sidetrack for now other pledges or new seeds. Well, I haven't been. Yeah. The new superhero form is the box to a superhero. A superhero. Yeah. More before running that and new thing. And that's another one. I have a lot of wish and checking. But especially in trying to buy them more. Say, I don't have already a store and dip in that.
Yeah.
Well, or if you just wait for someone to say them online and pay a thing.
In question number 5, what is your favourite thing about the Phantom comic strip?
I just love the character. I think there's a deep, abiding moral code that, and I'm not a complete purist. Like you dismiss anything that was written after Falk died, or you dismiss the Phantom stuff, because I think the Phantom that Lee Falk wrote and the moral code he put into that character and the tropes that he put into it set up an unbelievably unending series of stories that can be told. But it sets up
what is to come in the future.
To live, and I'm not saying that in a religious sort of way, but it sets up a way that, it's good versus evil, and it's a classic story, and it's been going, the history of going since 1936, and I just like the way that it ingratiated itself into Australian culture, and by fortuitous methods and amazing. I still find it amazing that in 1936 the comic comes out in February and it appears in the Australian Mirror in August, or September, something like that.
Yeah.
Which means that the salesmen from Hearst were amazing at getting that out and to get people in Australia and Yugoslavia and France and Spain and Brazil and the places that it went where it appeared quite early, and to sell it on. I find that a fascinating part of the history. Is there one thing? No, it's just he appeals to me. As a character, I think that some of the art over the years is as good as any being done, but it's not. Some of it's not as good as Alex Raymond or
Yeah.
Morton Kenneth or uh, Will Eisner or the classics, which is what reading The Phantom led me into discovering. To discover great English comic strips like Modesty Blaze and Garth, and this, every time you turn a page of of comic books and other comic books, there are other things to discover, and that's even before you get go down. Like I'm not the greatest follower of the classic Marvel or DC superheroes because I discovered all these other independent things that are just as good and keep you excited and keep you collecting them. And that's without even getting into the Australian things like the Airhawk and the stuff that John Dixon is doing and the stuff that Adam Man that Nathan was doing. And then the Phantom led me into all of this, and it doesn't stop. It's just everywhere, and I'm doing it with my hands. And that's so cool. I don't know. Don't know if that answers the question. I just think that as a character goes, it's got a lot going for it.
And I think the same because the favourite thing I like about the Phantom is the mystery and him just showing up. And when you see that famous Phantom comic where he's just walking down the street and there's fog coming from below his waist, and I've always liked that image, and it's blue and it's just great. I'll be showing the image up on the screen right now for viewers. In question number 6, you have been a long-time Phantom fan and collector of many things. Why did you start collecting the Phantom?
It just happens when you're a kid and you're getting them in the show bags and you end up having a pile of them. So from the 1960 end of the 60s into the early 70s, somehow my brother and I, not consciously, had acquired a small pile of possibly some Disney comics, but I don't remember them as well, but I know they were always around, and some fan comics. So we just had a small pile of them. And then I realised that these were available for not a lot of money. At the newsagents, and I could buy it brand new every couple of weeks. There'd be a new one, and I started getting it, and then so that happened for a few years, and then I got a bit sick of them because they were in a cycle of getting around to reprinting.
They were
the
like
stories.
Going over and over.
So there was a point. Yeah, there was a point there where I went, I had enough of these, and that's also now you're talking mid-70s. And you're going, oh, okay, I'm a little bit older now. I'm playing footy. I'm playing cricket. There's a lot of schoolwork to do. I'm trying to show skills badly, but okay. Life. So we move on. But I didn't get rid of the comics. So I stayed in a box underneath the house. And then, in fact, I gave away my collection to a friend. And then noticed a few years later when Jim Shepard started publishing, which was, I forget the exact number, but 870 or something around there. A little after that, and getting out and chopping it up, and I discovered them, and by then I was discovering a few other comics and things of other art, and I went, I like the Phantom, and just started out doing. And so from there, I started collecting them again. And from there, I discovered that there were things you could buy. And it just, somewhere in there, in parallel timing of, I was starting to get into fandom through Doctor Who. because BBC was starting to put videotapes out, and they were accessible finally. And you get videotapes of Star Trek. I mean, it's as silly as it sounds with all the stuff that you can download now. When I first started, there were guys in Sydney, when I was living in Sydney, who would have on film episodes of Star Trek and would show them in the theatre. 200 people would turn up and watch these episodes, the same episodes, not weekly, but they rotate through them. And that was how you saw Star Trek until Channel 9 decided to show it again. And it was this marvellous thing of this rare stuff. So from there, I got back into comics. And then you discover that, there's a thing called Modesty Blaze, which is an English comic, which is the best written adventure comic in the world. But not a lot of people know it. Then you discover The Spirit and Eisner, and you discover that there's reprints. And then you discover there's all this Australian comics. And you're hooked.
It snowballs.
Mine explodes. And then and I was good in some ways, because I regret it now, but back then I was going, I'm not going to buy all this other stuff. I'm just going to buy the comics. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just trying to get all the stories. I'm not going to buy the old ones, because they seem fairly expensive even then.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I wish I'd bought everything that comes in my way.
I'm just going to keep calm. I'm just going to buy some things, and then it snowballs.
Yeah, it does. And you can get carried away. And I know I've got way too many spare Phantom comics that are worth absolutely nothing, which is sad. That's all right. I'll give them to someone one day, somewhere around. Along the way, I'm now been able to buy some fairly cool things, like, there's a monkey there, and the little one that used to be sold at Dandenong markets, not Dandenong markets, Camberwell markets. The guy used to do those plastic casts, and you see that hiding there. And the black monkeys, which again, I should have bought one back in the day, but I didn't. But I was living in Perth, so it wasn't quite as accessible. I don't know, it's good. Now, and you see the tea towel from the Phantom exhibition that went toured around various art galleries. Lucky to pick up one of them. And boxes and boxes. If people's computers are good and they can decipher my handwriting on the boxes, you'll see that the comics up there are all Phantomans. There's one down here. Actually, no. Phantomans are up here. And luckily, again, then you start making contacts with people, and suddenly people have got a fairly good run of Phantom comics in their solitary, and you just doesn't stop.
In question number 7, it talks about, if you wanted to say something the Phantom would say, what would you say? It might be a favourite panel from the Phantom or phrase.
Too many things. There are too many things that Lee cleverly wrote, and I love particularly the Wilson McCoy period, as well as Ray Moore's, the earlier stuff. But I also love a lot of the early Psycho. I think in the middle there it got a little bit rushed, or they were knocking it out. But that's how things go, and that's what the people that were paying for it said. Well, that's okay. That's all I want. But even recently, so anyway, I get distracted easily and go off on tangents. I love a few of the Jungle Sayings, and fairly enamoured by the classic As You Were, with the Phantom coming in through the window, and I've always thought that was a pretty good phrase. And that appeals to me, the whole McCoy, every now and again, the little jokes through that whole period were beautiful. And I can't remember more because there's too many. There's 100, what are we up to? 196 daily stories
Yeah.
and 140 Sunday stories, something like that. Let alone all the Phantomen ones, the ones that appear in the German stories, because I'd love someone to do all the German stories, not the repeated Phantomen ones, but the German stories in English so that we can read them. Because Google Translate is only so good, and it's a pain in the ass. Now, a few of them, the art was pretty crappy, but one day, or maybe never, I don't know. Because I really love the Through's attempt at doing the Through World
I think I
series.
like the Phantom World specials because there was something it was something there was something more in those comics. Obviously, there were 100 pages, but there was more comics to come out, and because there was more comics to come out, I had more to read, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I really like it because you got to see other stories and other that. Yeah, if you're a real collector and you've got all of the Umo Mascherata in Italian or the Spanish or the German, yeah, you might have seen the stories, but finally someone got the general reader got to see them. But you know, through doing a great job trying to do different things. Unfortunately, I think the readership is that pay for the comics, and at the end of the
Yeah,
day, someone's got to buy the bloody things. And Australia is still a small market, and
yeah,
we're all getting old and bald like me. Who's going to buy my comics? That's worries me. Um, we're a bit stuck on, and we sit there and go, "Oh, I just want to see repeats of stuff, and I want to see the old McCoy or
yeah.
the Ray Moore stuff." And so,
There, there's a
no,
point in time where they have to pivot and say, well, we can't always be publishing the same thing. I believe that there's always with everything there's always got to be with everything there's always got to be a little bit of variety to be keeping a person's interest in a phantom comic or a comic or some sort of thing that you're either reading. You've got to have interest. If you don't have interest in something that a person's reading, then you're quickly going to find out that they might be starting to get bored of the same thing every single time it comes out, or they might be reprinting the same stuff. So if someone already has that comic, then they're potentially going to get a little bit. It's like when you were saying, "Oh, they're reprinting the same stuff. I've already got that comic," and then you start to what's the word? You start to get a little bit. You start to go, ugh. That's the same stuff that I've just read. So I like how they keep they help with putting out different stuff that people may not have seen before.
absolutely. And so I think I commend them. I mean, maybe I'm stuck on and I'm stupid, but they're doing the best I can. They've tried to do various things. I think they're pushing the proverbial uphill. And I don't know how you get in this sort of market and this new day and age. And I'm not railing against the young kids doing it their way, but it's a tough sell.
Yeah,
It's a tough sell to convince a young person that the fans got merit. Um, because they see, um, again, I'm making assumptions, but the young folk um, see a movie, and from a movie they go, "Oh wow, that's so good." But it's, us older people know that Superman or Batman
yeah.
or
A lot of
Thor
people know
or
those types of
but
characters,
those
but
they've got
when it comes to the Phantom,
they've got a
they're
thousand
sort of
comic books
saying, "Oh
behind each
well,
one.
who's the Phantom?"
Sorry,
So
yeah, exactly. So who's the fan and what's this about? Why would I like this? Oh, it's only in black
I
and white.
haven't
I don't
heard of him
understand.
before.
And it's really hard to. I mean, I've seen it with even you try and educate people with newer comics, etc., Australian stuff, and they don't have an eye for black and white comics and reading black and white comics, and and seeing the art. It's got to be full on glossy, bang, bang, bang,
Yeah.
bang. And,
It's got to
okay,
be all action,
and I
and
yeah,
new.
I'm not dismissing it. That's fantastic. It's a bit like, uh, and again, I'm not putting him down, but all the people that read Matthew Riley and think he's fantastic. Well, okay, I'm fine, but there's a lot better story writers sitting out there,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Um, but then again, I get sucked in reading the Jack Reacher books. So, but I think they're reasonably well written. But then I'm also welded on to people from 30 years ago and reading Jean Le Carre and reading action books by um, Alison McLean. And they're formulaic and they're the same. In that, so I don't know. People will come to it when they want to,
Yeah.
and maybe there is hope for us. I just hope that through keep publishing things, I hope that there's enough of a younger market of people out there being pushed into it by their grandparents and their parents. So
The way I
I've got to have
discovered,
someone to sell my comics to.
yeah. The, sorry to interrupt there, but the way I discovered the Phantom was through my news agency, and no one up till that point in 2016, when I started collecting the Phantom, no one really had shown me the Phantom, so I had no clue what he was, had no clue he actually existed to begin with, but I discovered the Phantom in my local news agency in a small country town, and from then on in 2016, I love the Phantom. I can't get enough of him, and this is why I have this YouTube channel, and if this is why I love collecting the Phantom. I love collecting Phantom comics. I love collecting comics. I love Peanuts. I love Tintin. It's just that, yeah. If I do not know what would have happened if I didn't discover the Phantom. Like, it's like a missing part, basically.
Excellent, and that's the fun, and the fun is to know that there's other things as well,
Yeah,
and you know, yeah, somewhere along my journey was Tintin and Asterix
yeah,
and Peanuts and The Wizard of Id and all of those joke cartoons, and they're still fantastic today. I
yeah,
don't think they're as good as they were back 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but that's also my usage. But then you get on to other guys that are amazing. Like if you've got time, go and have a look at Doonesbury by Gary Trudeau, which is a political commentary about America. And
yeah,
it's extraordinarily prescient. It's clever. It tells a story. But then go and look at Burt Breathed's Bloom County, and again, lovely slices of what's happening in America. But equally, Ginger Meggs, a little bit more kid stories, but you look at Ginger Meggs and it's extraordinarily reflective. Yeah, exactly. Fantastic that you've got that. That's great. But you can even open that issue, which is sort of 1980s, isn't it? I think. Um,
it's collector's number 36 from the series.
yep.
Um, it
Was it Kemsley doing that one, wasn't it? James
uh,
Kemsley?
was published by Lilyfield Publishers
Yep.
in 1986.
Yeah. So, but you even look at that one, and it's a slice of life, and
Yeah,
that's exactly why I love historically the Phantom. The Phantom, if you look at the stories and the architecture and the cars and the women's fashion, it's a slice of history. It's there in front of you being told, whether you understand that or not. So, I mean, I think comics are the best. I totally understand why people love Superman and Batman and all the rest of it, and I appreciate them. Absolutely love them. But I don't go out of my way to collect all the new stuff. Because where do you start? There's so much. Well, equally, it's sort of the same with the fandom. Where do you start? And it's been going for now
7 years.
Whatever, nearly 90 years. There's an incredible amount of depth in there. So it's good. It's so much fun. And we're lucky that
it's still going.
Recent glut of toys to play with. We've just had, as I said, the King's Superheroes by Boss Fights. The Boss Fight Star Power is a really nice carded figure. Gonna have to buy a second one to open it. The little things that are being produced here and there, it's all good. Too much stuff. And then suddenly someone online will go, I've got all these Brazilian comics. They're up for sale. And you sort of go, should I? No. Yes, maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry if I ramble on a bit, Bradley.
It's been great listening to you and talking about different things to do with comics. I've enjoyed it very much.
Fantastic.
I would like to thank you, Trevor, for joining me on this week's episode of The Enthusiast, and thank you for this insightful chat about the Phantom, about Ginger Megs, about everything to do with comics. Thank you for allowing me to interview you for The Enthusiast. And if you are a fan of the Phantom and have a story to tell for The Enthusiast, like Trevor here, you can message me on Instagram or Facebook. And now let's get into more Phantom news on The Enthusiast.
Thanks very much, Bradley. It's been a lot of fun.
Another thing that has happened in the Phantom this week, it has
been the saga of the 21st Phantom escape from Gravelines Prison.
The Bandai Warriors have arrived this week, and this week in the Phantom Dailies, the Bandai Warriors / Nation have arrived to potentially save the Phantom and the stubborn Savannah Devi from the eventual fight in Gravelines Prison. I reckon that there will be, and also I think the end of last week we also saw that there has been a new chapter of this saga starting, and it is where the Phantom and his merry band of followers called the Bandai Pygmy Tribe, also to do with Savannah Devi, are going back. They're going back into prison. They're going to try and save more people from either getting executed or possibly dying from really bad causes, and because maybe there's a point in this script where we saw, I think that was last year, where we saw the Phantom. He was trying to get Savannah Devi out of her cell, and he runs into a lot of other people who sort of have the same sort of reason of why they should potentially be saved by the Phantom. But then he takes Savannah Devi, and now he's going to go back into the prison to save even more people, which, frankly, if you're going into a prison saving if your goal is to go into a prison and save one person from potentially getting executed, and because you already know him and you already know her, then what's the reason? I know it's a justified point in going in and saving more people, but it's also a risk, because if you're going back into the prison, you're potentially giving yourself a risk and potentially going to maybe pass away from going back into the prison, making a wrong, false move, and then possibly, I don't know, possibly dying from that risk that you've just thought of. And I think when Tony DePaul has wrote this script, he's obviously thought about, oh, well, I'm not actually writing for the newspaper anymore, like the newspaper scripts anymore. Normally, he said, I think last year, he said that I'm not writing for the newspaper scripts, I'm writing for the reprint audience. So pretty much that means that there's going to be a lot of twists and turns and unexpected routes to be taken in this script. And we've already seen that. We've already seen that happen heaps in a long time, because last year I was literally saying, oh, this script's gonna end and coming into the new year. Well, no, it hasn't come. It hasn't died yet, and it hasn't stopped yet. So there's got to be a little long while more until we see the script die out and we see the script stop. Because even if we're Phantom fans, and even if we are not happy with the script and how it's looking, we can't change anything because the story's already been written. It's only up to Mike Manley to illustrate it, which is amazing. And he's been doing an amazing job. The black and white images that Mike Manley has been doing is amazing. It's just amazing. And I've just went on a little bit of a rant there, but they are amazing, and hopefully that the Phantom and his merry band of followers will hopefully survive this fight on going back into the prison and saving more people. But with the Bandar Pygmy tribe warriors here to bring the Phantom and others safely back to the deep woods, this part of the saga, I hope it won't last much longer. Fingers crossed it won't, but it's going to last a lot longer than many Phantom fans expected. And you can now follow us on our socials, on Instagram at Phantom Cave Reviews, and on Facebook at Phantom Cave. And if you enjoy Phantom Cave Reviews and my awesome discussions on the Phantom, consider subscribing. We make the best Phantom high quality Phantom content for Phantom fans, and as always, you'll see me next week on another big episode of The Enthusiast, and as always, keep Phantom caving.